Wrestling Inside Now brought to you by Championship Wrestling, coming to Knoxville, Tennessee, Friday, March 18th at the Old City Performance Center. For more information, go to live at championshipwrestling.com. You can also purchase tickets there as well. Welcome, everyone, to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. I am Brent West, along with Rodney West. Jack Lord, a little under the weather. He will not be with us this evening, but we hope that he starts feeling better, and we'll see him next week. Rodney, the top 100. We're at that. I noticed on my graphic I had the numbers wrong. I think we're at actually at 59. 60 and 61.
That is correct. Yes.
On this particular program. So let's start it off right now. And let me throw this. Let me throw up the graphic here. Number 61, Magnum TA. Magnum TA. It's very interesting about Magnum TA. We saw him first time Mid-South Wrestling 1983, and I'm telling you, he wasn't as polished as he was years later. But I think Wrestling Against Wrestling 2, I think that polished him and made him know professional wrestling. But at the same time, Teaming with Wrestling 2 against the Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton also helped him. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, the actual Wrestling 2 Magnum TA is what made Magnum TA a superstar. I believe that he came into his own at that point, and it was nothing but up from there. Just tremendous. Again, it's not like that he just started at that point. He had been at Mid-South before, been the North American champion before, but it didn't get quite over as well as it did with Wrestling 2. That story, the whole setup with the Midnight Express and then Wrestling 2, it was just it was absolutely perfect. And Bill Dundee came up with all of that, and just awesome stuff.
Yeah, that no doubt. All right, Rodney, who's on your list?
Number 61, the Super Sock, Jose Lothario. This is a guy that's, he goes way back. I remember him when we were at the same time, the Wrestling 2 Magnum TA thing. Something that was just as hot in the Houston area was Jose Lothario and the Guerreros. Just tremendous stuff. And, Jose worked all over the United States, all over in Mexico as well. Just a tremendous star. And, of course, he's trained some of the best. Let's just be honest. He deserves to be there. Jose Lothario.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels being one of the ones that we actually saw him bring him to Beaumont, Texas, and have his first match for Mid-South Wrestling. And we even said then, I'll never forget, Bill Dundee was up there with us sitting in the crowd. And he said, well, what do you think, boys? I said, well, I think he is going to be a star one day, because he had it even back then. And but Super Sock Jose Lothario over in Houston, Texas. I mean, he was over. All right, now a lot of controversy was surrounding this wrestler that I put at number 60. Some people said he should have been further up on the list. Some people said he shouldn't have been on it at all. And that was Jerry the King Lawler. I think when you look at what he did in Memphis, Tennessee, I think that is what you have to look at it from 1970, what it was 1974, 1975. He came to Memphis. He Jackie Fargo passed the torch over to Jerry Lawler, and he drew money from 1974 until 87, 88. Just constantly drew a lot of money, and plus the stuff that he did in WWF was also tremendous. Maybe his wrestling matches wasn't as great as they were WWF that he was in Memphis, but if you've not seen Jerry Lawler against Bill Dundee, man, you are missing something incredible.
Truly one of the great professionals of our time. This is a man that just by merely talking into the microphone can put butts in the seats. That's just how good Jerry Lawler was. Now, I myself sometime despised him for his walk and talk, and probably one of the greatest title changes of all time when the Continental Wrestling Association's world title changed hands when he beat superstar Billy Graham. One of the great highlights of world championship matches. Even today, people are saying they compare it to all the great title matches, and this is one that you have to notice. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out.
We used to say, we tell guys this. Well, we had conversation with the wrestlers before, and they said, well, Jerry Lawler does it. He walks and talks. And we say, yeah, and the Jerry Lawler of that time period wasn't drawing any money in Memphis. Go back and look at the Jerry Lawler that was in the early 70s, in the 80s, and the early 80s. That was not the Jerry Lawler that was in there in the late 80s. So the walk and talk, people don't want to buy a ticket to watch you walk.
But the tremendous, even to this day, this man can work a mic like no other.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever want to see a clinic and how to do an interview, check out when Jerry Lawler comes to Atlanta to go against Roddy Piper. It is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He wasn't over the top. He just talked to Gordon. It was just brilliant. The way the crowd responded to him. I think if that match would have happened between Lawler and Piper, it would have been nothing but money all across the country.
It's amazing if you go back and watch Memphis Wrestling and just go back. They did a whole episode of Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler. They want to have another loser leave town match. The whole 60 minutes was nothing about them talking. The Lance Russell was in the middle. They were talking. They talked to me. I would have bought a ticket to go see that match, and that was just tremendous. All right, Rodney, your number.
My number 60 is synonymous with being the world junior champion for many years. You talk about another man. When he got in the ring, he knew exactly what he was doing. He could talk better, just as good as anybody else. I'm talking about Nelson Royal. This man knew what he was doing, and he goes all the way back to the Infernos and the great Jim Crockett Promotions, and then later on becomes the world junior champion. And then, of course, we saw him against Scott Armstrong. Some of the great matches, Scott Armstrong and Nelson Royal in Knoxville. Just a tremendous wrestler, tremendous professional, knew what he was doing in the ring. Nelson Royal.
When he was with USA Championship Wrestling, his daughter was his. I think he was his valet. I think that's what. I don't think it was a manager. I think it was a valet. But man, Nelson Royal could get some heat out there. Man, the people when he would get out there and talk, they'd boo him. You couldn't even hear him because they were booing him so much. He just had the ability. He was a great wrestler. He could have beat anybody at any time. He was just a tremendous athlete. All right, now my number 59, Don Jardine, the Spoiler and the Super Destroyer. Also, he wrestled as Don Jardine as well. I think with Dutch Savage, I believe they were tag team champions. There was no better than him.
An innovator. A complete innovator in what he did. I mean, nobody was doing what he was doing. Just a tremendous athlete.
Those masks would just scare me to death when I was a kid. The claw, he got the claw over better than anybody. I think that thing in Georgia, he scared me to death. I mean, he would come out. He was so good. The interviews were so good. They made you. because he never got excited, he never got mad, but boy, he'd just tell you exactly what he was going to do to you. Tremendous stuff. Had some great matches with Tony Atlas. Had great matches. Well, I think it might have been Black Atlas at the time, wasn't it?
Sure.
Wasn't Tony Atlas yet. But Wrestling 2, just Gary Hart was with
Rhodes. Yeah, Gary Hart. Yeah, Gary Hart told the story and made a monster, surely. And just a tremendous wrestler. There's a lot of stuff from Houston with the spoiler. You've got to check it out. There are some just classic matches against Wahoo McDaniel, and I believe that's the one where Wahoo turns the spoiler's mask around. Gary Hart jumps on the ring apron and he goes for the claw behind at Wahoo. Ends up getting it hold of Gary Hart, pulling him in the ring, calls a disqualification, then him and Gary Hart get into it. It's tremendous stuff. And the spoiler is just a tremendous wrestler. I will always remember the spoiler. Always.
Somebody on our Facebook page said they didn't know that he was the Super Destroyer in Crockett's territory. I don't know why they used him as a Super Destroyer, why they didn't use him as a spoiler. I think we might have heard that story at some point, but tremendous. Drew a lot of money there too as the Super Destroyer. Remember, right after the Super Destroyer leaves, the Superstar it comes into that the territory because I always thought it was the same person when he came to Atlanta. It was the same person.
Yes, we always thought it was the same person.
All right, Rodney, your next person.
My next one is a kind of a regional, but he goes way back, all the way back to the days of International Amphitheater in Chicago, Illinois. I'm talking about the legendary Lynn Rossi, is number 59. Again, a tremendous wrestler. He knew psychology. He knew when he saw a new guy coming into the territory, he knew, I'm going to work with that guy, put me on television with him here today. I'm going to draw money with him. He knew how to do that when he got in the ring. And then after he had his accident, he goes into the office. Still tremendous contributions from Lynn Rossi. And for me, definitely deserves to be on the list.
And was a great commentator as well. When he would commentate wrestling matches, he did a great job because he understood what he needed to get over. He understood but Lynn Rossi drew money. Birmingham, Alabama sold it out for 13 weeks in a row. Him and Bearcat Brown, his tag team, as a tag team, going against a bunch of different people, but tremendous Lynn Rossi. We've lost a lot of wrestlers, and he was one of those wrestlers that was it was dear to our heart. We really liked Lynn Rossi.
Right, and at one time when we were doing the United Wrestling from Chattanooga, we were going to have Lynn Rossi as our commissioner, and we asked him to do it. He was more than happy, and that we're sorry that didn't go any further, but I think we would have seen some great things.
All right, Rodney, you ready to see what the insiders have got to say?
Let's do it.
Anita is with us. Anita says, hey, how you doing, Anita? Richard Hood is with us. Good evening, gentlemen.
Richard.
Victor Nash is also with us. Glenn Allen Shelton is with us as well. Wendy Harkins. She says, evening, guys. Hope all is well with y'all. Well, everybody but Jack. He's not feeling well this evening. Jason Monday is with us. Hello, everyone. Hello to you. Glenn Allen Shelton is also with us. Happy birthday to Ted DiBiase. Tremendous wrestler. Little trouble right now. A little bit of trouble with Ted DiBiase right now. They're in Mississippi, so we hope that all turns out well for him. Donnie Turner. Oh, there. Duggan reference there. Dr. Philpo Grice is back with us. He has had COVID. He said he almost got put in the hospital.
Uh-oh.
We're glad to see you back. Jack was asking about him. Says, where was he at? I did not see him. And I said, I don't know where he's been since we've been back, but it's glad to see you back and that you are feeling better. Carl Smith. Welcome from the Mid-South. Victor Nash said get well soon to Jack, and we do hope he gets to feeling better. Brian Young said, hey, guys, how the heck do you have Jerry Lawler so low on the list? Top 20 for sure.
Well, it's that superstar Billy Graham, Jerry Lawler title change, Brian. If you've ever seen it, that would almost knock you completely off the list.
Also, at the end, from about 87, I guess, he did a lot of walk and talk matches that we would always say, no wonder not drawn in Memphis. It was all it was, walk and talk the whole time. So he got put down up a little bit on the list.
And this was a world championship match. This was after he became the unified or the AWA champion or whatever it was. He was doing the referee. He's got a foreign object thing for the first 15 minutes of a match. And that is not a world championship match. I'm sorry. It is just not a world championship match. And if you look at the crowd at the Sportatorium, you can see why.
By the way, if that had been done with Ole Anderson, Jerry Lawler would have never been booked again. I just tell you that right now. He would not have went for that. Because he'd ask him, what was you doing out there for the first 15 minutes? Good evening, guys. Have a great show. David Bice. How you doing, David? Good to see you. Can't wait for the Knoxville show to meet you guys. We can't wait to see you as well. And we want to see all of you. If you can travel into Knoxville, we're going to be we're going to be there on Friday, March 18th. We would love to see everybody there. Now there are limited seats in there. It's not a huge arena. It's not, don't hold 10,000 people or nothing. So if you want to get there, go get your tickets because it's a small venue. Kevin Penley. Well, the reason it's a small venue because it's an old school studio wrestling show. So
exactly,
you can't have an old school television wrestling show in a big arena. So
exactly,
the reason it's in a small place. Get well, Jack from Kevin Penley. My 61, the Sheik. Was he talking? You're talking about the original Sheik or the Iron Sheik? I guess if he was going to say, he would have said Iron Sheik, wouldn't he? Number 60, Sting. I don't know. I think Sting did make my list. I believe he did. Probably not. Probably didn't make Rodney's. 59, Paul Orndorff. Paul Orndorff, tremendous.
Yes, Paul Orndorff made mine. He was at number 73.
Wrestling, that he was going to be tremendous. He looked great. Am I right, Rodney?
Exactly.
We've seen him in what year was that? 1978? 1979?
Yeah, close to 1980, 79, 80. He was working in Knoxville.
Oh, he was
tremendous.
I never think about Don Cornudo. Richard Hood said Don Cornudo number.
He's great. Don was great.
Yeah, I never have thought about him because he never really left that territory. He never left Crockett's territory, did he?
He came to Georgia. He came to Georgia for a little while, but he really he came to his own in with Jim Crockett Promotions for sure.
Our good friend George Lambert. Some people might know him as Ben Masters. I've always been intrigued with Jardine. I talked to him on the phone, but never met him. He seemed to be a very handsome young man when he donned the mask. He seemed to be a very handsome young man when he donned the mask. I never understood why they covered his face, but he was phenomenal. Yes. Oh man. Oh, but man, he just had a presence about him. There's just certain people that had a presence, but he just had that something, and he was doing things like Rodney said that nobody else was doing. Tremendous. Brian Young, my pick 61, Ken Patera. I think that's been somebody else's picks earlier on. Tiger Conway Jr. Never think about Tiger Conway Jr. And 59, Ed.
Well, Tiger Conway was never really where we were at.
No, Florida. He was in Florida though, wasn't he? Florida, maybe for Crockett's as well.
And it was in Mid-South, but he wasn't there where we were there.
He's right about the Sheik. Not technically the best wrestler in the world. There were just some things he did I didn't like. That's the reason he never made my list. I don't know. There was something. It was something about his style that I never liked. But he drew a lot of money. I don't think you can say that he didn't draw a lot of money.
He was an attraction, no doubt. Even not outside of his own territory, but when he came to Atlanta or we were Nick Gulas or wherever, the Sheik was an attraction, and you can be sure it's going to be some excitement because the Sheik brought it.
He certainly did. The fire thrower, the Sheik. David Bias said, "I always enjoyed watching Magnum work." Yes, he was tremendous, and to see the growth that we saw in 1983, 84 of Magnum TA, it was just tremendous. And when he started wrestling against Wrestling 2, he got better and better and better every time, every match he had. Anita said Jerry Lawler made Memphis. We will agree with that. But if it wasn't for Jackie Fargo truly passing the torch to Jerry Lawler, he probably wouldn't have. But Jackie Fargo liked him, and he made sure he passed the torch to him.
And the fact is that Lawler could have gotten over anywhere he went. He chose to stay in Memphis. Fine. I think at one point he was part owner, but he could have made it anywhere, whether it be for Jim Crockett, for Florida. He could have went anywhere and been a top draw.
And the thing about it, he just didn't want to. He didn't have to. I don't. Most of the time, I think he only worked Memphis.
No, and he occasionally went out. We saw him do some stuff for Hawaii Polynesian Championship Wrestling. He did some stuff in San Antonio with Blanchard. So yeah, he did travel outside, but it was not very often. His main claim to fame was the King of Memphis, and he was proud. And he was proud of it. As well he should have been.
That interview he did, he does. Lance Russell says, "You're going to be going there with that great chief Peter Maivia." He said, "What's so great about Peter Maivia? What's so great about Hawaii? You ever been there? There's nothing nice about Hawaii. You know what? When they do it, they should have taken a big old nozzle and give Hawaii a big enema and just get it right off. It was tremendous.
Right. Tremendous stuff. Absolutely.
From the thing. So yeah, Jerry Lawler was great. Glenn Allen Shelton said there's a reason he became the king, and that's true. That is true. Brian Young, Jerry Lawler could sell anything to a crowd at any time. Hero babyface. He could sell out either way. Yes, he could. He knew how to control the in-ring action any kind. Yeah, he was great. But now at the same time, he made Memphis, but there was other people that helped make Memphis as well. Bill Dundee. He helped make it. Dutch Mantell. Jackie Fargo. I mean, that was the first guy that made Memphis. And I wouldn't say the first guy. There was others.
You got Sam Bass, that was a contributor to that as well.
Danny Wick, Billy Wicks. There were a lot of people that even came before them that was tremendous. Memphis has got such a history of professional wrestling. Just a history. It's about like Knoxville. What a history of wrestling you can look back out in Knoxville, Chattanooga, Birmingham, just so many. Kevin Finley, the thing about Lawler is the office. Jerry Jarrett was behind him. So like most wrestlers who were their own champion, Lawler kept himself on top. He kept himself on top because he could trust himself. Sometimes you put people on top, the next thing you know.
And there's nothing wrong with that formula. He would stay off of TV and for a while, and then he'd come back and they would build somebody up and he would knock them off, and there's nothing wrong. It was a formula that worked for them for years.
Yeah. Glenn Allen Shelton, and a super nice guy. I think Jerry Lawler is a nice guy. I don't know if he's talking about
Jerry. I think the first time we met him, I met him was when he came to Dothan for the show in Dothan.
Just nice
with us, and he was hilarious as well. Tell some good jokes. Lawler's great.
Dr. Philbo Grice said, did Lawler hurt himself staying too long at the WWE party? He was fun on the mic, but did that hurt his wrestling rep? I think by that time he was through wrestling anyway. Right. I think he was really ready to don't you think so, Rodney?
Yes, absolutely.
Michael Barr, how you doing, Michael? Good to see you on there. I know he's going to have some knee surgeries here soon. Kevin Penley, and I never knew George Goulis. Yes, George Goulis with the Cards in Detroit for the Sheik. He was. Oh my goodness! I bet he wasn't there. I don't know. Sheik and Nick Goulis got along very well. I think because he sat down with Nick and said, "How do you pay these guys? $10, $4 to work." I want to know how that happened. Oh, Rick Brooks, hello guys and everyone. How you doing, Rick? David Bice. I will never forget Jerry Lawler throwing a fire. Yeah, I seen one the other day. You threw, what was the manager's name? The little manager's name that he came in years later. He's a blonde-headed kid. Brandon Baxter, was that what his name?
Yes.
He threw a fireball at him, and that thing would just sit there and
Spun on his around on his face.
yeah. I thought, man,
Gave him a shave really close.
that was brutal. A few between him and Eddie Gilbert. Yes, he runs them over. Eddie Gilbert runs Jerry Lawler over in the parking lot at the studio there in Memphis, and they actually called the police on Eddie Gilbert because it was so good. Lawler did that so well. Jump up on that thing and just it was good.
Yeah, the Memphis Police Department was not amused.
No, they was not. No, they was not amused with that at all. George Lambert said the setup for Piper Lawler match was excellent. I remember really wanting to see it. What a disappointment when it never happened. Yes, it never took place.
Can you imagine the next week when both were supposed to be at TV at the same time? What an explosion that would have been. I mean, it was building.
Piper did go to Memphis, I believe, and I believe that match did happen in Memphis, but it never happened in Atlanta. So it was, hey, at least Jerry Lawler was smart enough to get him there before he decides to not do it. Wendy Harkins, Nelson Royal was a great wrestler. Yes. Victor Nash, 61, Jesse the Body Ventura. Number 60, Blackjack Lanza. 59, Ken Patera. I go with all those guys. All of them great. Jesse Ventura was so good at what he did. He was so good at what he did. I mean, everybody patted themselves. Now, let's be honest, he patted himself after Billy Graham. That's who he was, basically. But he could talk, man.
But he really created his own niche with his tremendous way that he was able to talk. Just awesome.
Big John Studd, number 59 from Richard Hood. Hey, just don't let. If Andre was still with us, he'd be very mad, Richard. He did not like John Studd at all. So, and it was his fault. He stepped over the top rope when Andre the Giant told him he was the only giant. Do not be stepping over the top rope. He did it anyway. So, hey, make the Giant mad, he's going to beat you up. So that's what happened to John Studd. I think Bill Eadie said he was there the night that Andre the Giant beat him up really bad. So hey. He said, but he had it coming. He told him, he said, they're both my friends. He said, remember, Big John Studd was the superstar number 2 in the Carolinas. So, he said he was my partner. He was a friend, but he said, I understood why Andre did it. Jason Mundy, the spoiler was great. Hey, what's that?
It's the epitome. The epitome.
Oh,
yes.
Man, Jason, don't be using them big words on me there.
Large words on us here. Got to use them college words on here.
They can't do that. Dutch Savage, a Don Owen man. Yes. And Dutch Savage eventually would own. I don't know if he'd own part of the territory. He was just a promoter in some of the places. I'm not really for sure about that. But Sean Smith, that's from Sean Smith. Kevin Penley, I think Don Fargo and Randy Collins should be on the list just for the many gimmicks and everything.
You're exactly right.
I think Don Fargo has 2 different names.
I think he's got the record probably, Don Fargo.
I think you might. He had many, because he was a Colt for
a Colt, yes, and in the same place. In the same place.
Glenn Allen Shelton, we talked Jerry show up before his heart attack. He still showed for autographs. Yeah, he's a tremendous man. He really was. I mean, he still is, but when he was in the ring, he does no better. Don Jardine didn't take any junk off you. Yes, I've heard about that, Richard. I've heard that Gary Hart told some stories of Don Jardine and how mean he was. Stuart Kemp, how you doing, Stuart? I know you've been having some issues as well. I hope you are doing well. Nice, 61-59. Hope all are well. Missing Jack. Hope he's doing okay. I was going to say you guys should start the program hawking the shirts and telling everyone to be a supporter and what one gets. We need to do that. We've not done that in a while. We try not to hawk a lot of things. we've found that it's hard for us to do it. We know we need to because we know we need money to do what we're doing, but it's just difficult for us to do. So we try to do it really in moderation. So The spoiler was the original rope walker who taught it to the Undertaker. Yeah, just don't let Buzz Sawyer train you. He'll take your money and not even train you. So don't ever do that. Glenn Allen said, Glenn Allen, him and Tommy Dreamer with chairs in front of me for the Porter. All right? Maybe I'm just reading now.
Let's act like you know what he's talking about. Move on.
I got Lynn Rossi up higher on my list.
I would have put him probably. I'm probably with you on that, Kevin. We really never saw him wrestle in any on a regular basis. It was just hit or miss with Lynn, but we always heard great things about Lynn.
Yeah, our father loved him. He absolutely loved him.
Just a complete professional, and the knowledge of the business was just unbelievable.
I believe Jack's doing all right. I talked to him earlier this afternoon. He said now he did say he didn't know what he had. He said, I don't know what I have. He said, but it's something from Hades. He said he was pretty sure it was something from Hades. And it was pretty bad. Glenn Allen Shelton. When do you relate it to Kevin Hart and Willard? She said no, by the way, if you didn't see that. Sean Smith. First WWE North American champion, Ted DiBiase. That was they did that twice because he just came in as that, and they did the same thing with the Intercontinental Champion. I think Pat Patterson was the first one, right?
Right.
And they say he won that in Rio de Janeiro, which I'm gonna tell you that's a place you can win a title.
Yes, apparently they sell them on the street out there.
Yeah, they must. And I think that's where Rodney got his belt from. He won that.
I'll tell you right now, I did not win that in Rio de Janeiro. I don't even know where it's at and couldn't spell it.
Mickey Mayfield. Howdy, everyone. How you doing, Mickey? Let's see. Brian Young, but go watch. Oh my God.
You're exactly right. And that you talk about two unbelievable talents. That was it. The match with nobody in the building was. It will never be matched. Not ever. Nobody will ever do that again. It was just that great, and it's just the tremendous talent of Terry Funk and the talent of Jerry Lawler and Lance Russell. You cannot leave Lance Russell out of that. That was just perfect, never to be done again. Just a masterpiece.
It was, and him tell, well, Lance, I just looking like an idiot, don't I? I'm a fool. I'm a fool. That's why I came here. Where's he? That was so good. Then when Jerry Lawler goes down that thing and he's got his crown and stuff. Look at you there, Jerry. You got your crown on. You got you're a clown. There's nobody here. This is tremendous stuff. If you've not watched it, it's available on YouTube.
It's really worth watching. And again, if you watched it before, it's worth watching again. It's just classic stuff. It's just, like I said, never to be done again, really.
Lawler beat Superstar for his own CWA title. Yeah, I think the one that brought that CWA title in.
Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham, yes.
I thought he did.
Tremendous match.
Greg Hickey. Hello, guys. Glad to be watching the show. Thank you so much, Greg. Kevin Bentley said Far Hat, so he did say the original Sheik is what I've always said. Guys, do you remember when Memphis and Georgia merged in the mid-'80s? Yes. Yeah, I didn't see how that worked. I mean, Ole Anderson didn't like any Memphis, Tennessee wrestlers. I mean, I don't know how many times we heard the words, "We don't want any of that Tennessee BS."
Yes.
Here in Georgia. That's what he did. And
yes.
And Dad threw it in there anyway. He tarred and feathered people. And Dad did coal miner glove matches. He did baby bonnet matches. So he got to throw it in there anyway. So he didn't like it, but he always, Dad. And,
but it was his idea.
Yeah. Dad, Jim Barnett, pretty good, good relationship. So he said if they were talking, he said, I think we need to do a baby bonnet match. I think it'll draw a lot of money. And it did. It did. Dick Slater and Wrestling 2. Dick Slater, Bob Orton Jr. and Wrestling 2 both did it. and both guys donned the baby bottle. And they did it. Yeah, they did it a little bit later with Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes. I don't know that it got over as well as the first time. But let's see. My picks this week, not in order, are the spoiler. Superstar Bill Dundee and Iron Mike Sharpe. Rusty Mike Dull is what we used to call him. Well, I think we've told people that before. Rusty Mike Dull. I think we even yelled that out to him one time in Rome, Georgia. Hey, Rusty! Rusty, how you?
Rusty Mike Dull.
After the matches, though, he was there. He was there about 3 hours taking a shower, so he wouldn't be rusty anymore. So I don't. Kevin Penley, Don Canuto worked for Nick Gulas for a few weeks. Yeah, he probably got that payoff, and he decided he needed to go home. Anita McNeil, true. I think we're talking about Bill Dundee. Not sure. Mickey Mayfield, so not sure if true or not, but Hannibal claims Cody Rhodes is a free agent and could go back to WWE. What's your take? No, I don't think he's going to. I think he's being booed so much they're trying to get all those guys out of saying they're part of the office, because every one of them people are getting booed. Because now they're looking at them thinking the only reason you're being pushed is because you're some of the front office guys, and that's never a good thing. They've become the establishment. They're not the people running that. I've heard that the morale is pretty bad in AEW now because of the WWE guys came in. So basically the rest of the guys just got pushed down. So morale's never going to be that great. It's about being pushed, and he's got too many wrestlers now to push them. They just. I mean, that just happens. Am I correct, Rod?
Yes, absolutely. And I have also read stories that they're looking to release some people. I'm assuming to make room for more WWE stars.
Possibly so, because Vince is going to get rid of another 30 by February at least. Wish I could stay on for the whole show, but I have my own show to do now. Great show as usual, guys. Talk soon. Thank you so much, Brian. Kevin Penley, Rodney, how well did Lawler draw as AWA champion up north?
I'm not sure, actually. I'll just be honest with you. I never saw really anything by the time that he won the title. Never really saw anything after that with Lawler in the AWA area, in Minneapolis or any of those towns. I just never saw it. I'm sure possibly still drawn well. But again, I'm not sure, because we never really saw anything. We saw a lot from Dallas, from the Sportatorium when Jarrett was running it there. That seemed to be terrible, just awful. But so, and it could be in the difference of night and day. When he went to work for Vern, he could be working different.
Do you remember Lawler came to GCW and tried to turn Atlanta against Tommy Rich? I don't remember that.
I remember him coming in. Okay, and I know what he's talking about. He's talking about when Jerry Lawler, when Piper leaves. So now they've changed the match to Jerry Lawler against Tommy Rich. And Lawler starts running Tommy Rich down. He talks about when he used to come to Memphis, he used to beat him up for fun when he was growing up. When he first started wrestling, he used to beat him up for fun and that kind of thing. So yeah, I know exactly what Mickey's talking about.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and see that.
And then they have the match at the Omni, and it seems like somebody else interfered in the match. And then Lawler and Rich just clean house, and then they're partners the next time.
God bless, and I'll be saved. Need to get my stitches on my shoulder dress. Be back later. Hey, guy, Andy McDaniel is with us.
Hey, Andy.
Guys, I hope you are well. Andy McDaniel, great book. I think Rodney's got it there somewhere.
Yep, it's right up there.
Get his book. What's the book called again? I always get that name.
Reunion at County Hall.
Reunion at County Hall
in Charleston, South Carolina, and the book's really the who's who, and it talks about regular events in Charleston at the County Hall. It was the place to be in Charleston for wrestling, and just tremendous time. And he would have seen the Super Destroyer. Don Jardine at that time. Of course, his favorite wrestler was Walt McDaniel.
So get that book, available at Amazon. Available at Amazon. Jerry Jarrett could book also. Very smart man. Jerry
Yes.
Jarrett, very, very smart man. Knew the wrestling business. He understood it. He understood that people had to believe. He did understand that they had to believe what you were doing. So when you threw the you threw the I guess you would say the worm out there to them, that they believed in the wrestler. So when they believed in him, they would come buy a ticket. And very smart man, no doubt. Number 61, Ron Simmons. Number 62, the Junkyard Dog. Number 63, Austin Idol. When you go back and look at Austin Idol's work prior to probably 1985, 86, tremendous stuff. Drew a lot of money. You can't
Yes.
say nothing about it. And we know what the Junkyard Dog did in Memphis and was over in WWF and they never really did nothing with him, but he was still over there. And Ron Simmons, tremendous. We've talked about them at length, and all of them tremendous people. Did the station, the promotion use county police or Memphis police as security?
I believe it was Memphis police.
Yeah, I think it was.
But I do believe it's the chief of police that was the one not happy.
Because I think they sent people over there, and it was not, and there, I guess Jerry Jersey.
Well, what the chief of police says, I don't care what it was. We do not hit people with cars.
Yeah,
the chief said he was not amused at all because had a lot of calls from his constituency, his people calling in about using a car.
Yeah, they didn't get over with the whole city of Memphis. Rest in peace, Black Jack Lanza. Yes, he passed away maybe a month or so ago, maybe 2 months. Sean Smith, Big John Studd, Andre's favorite tag dog. Victor Nash, Lawler probably wouldn't have gotten hit with a coconut instead of Snuka. Probably would have gotten him. Yes. He probably would have said, "No, you're not hitting me with a coconut." He probably would have said, "Wait a minute now. I'll give you the coconut, and you can hit me with it, but I'm going to be making sure that coconut won't knock me out like it did Jimmy Snuka." Apparently, I am one of the very few fans that the Sheik ever broke kayfabe with when he mentioned me and he motioned me into his dressing room and signed a couple autographs for me and at Hamilton, Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tremendous. Yeah, because he never really broke. His character, and you have to give him that. Piper would have crowned the king. Yes, tremendous stuff. Charles said, "Disregard my number, our previous one." Well, I thought he just ain't it the same people.
No, well,
Junkyard Dog's on there twice, but I think up there.
Okay. All right, well, we'll figure it out.
Hey, maybe he's talking about Norvell Austin.
You've got a point. Yeah, Norvell's great.
Yes, he was. Norvell, not such a nice man too. Just a tremendous man. Always got along with Norvell. Lawler threw fire before COVID. Dennis Mitchell. Was there an effort by Ole to bring Jesse, the governor, into Georgia? I've never heard of him wanting to bring in Jesse Ventura. He probably wouldn't have matched what he had wanted. And one of the wrestlers was well read outside of wrestling that some fans didn't. Was it smart? Was Rodney Brent? What your thoughts, Chris? Thank you, Dennis Mitchell. Rodney?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
And other than Jesse, what other wrestlers was well read outside of wrestling that some fans didn't? Was smart, but not for sure what he's talking about.
He's talking over my head again.
Hey, send that over again.
Send us over, Dennis. We'll try to figure that out. That's a lot of words there.
Well, now when you look at Ole Anderson, when you look at that, Tito Santana said he wasn't pushed by Ole, but when I go back and watch the stuff he tried to push him, I watched him. He involved him with the angles. He involved him with the Ivan Koloff. He involved him with he really involved him. I don't know that you could blame Ole for that. Sometimes you just don't get over in other territories. It just happens that way. Buy the merch, everybody. Yeah, ProWrestlingTees.com. ProWrestlingTees.com. If you really want to help us, you live in Knoxville, just go buy a ticket to the show. just go buy a ticket to the show. And watch our YouTube channel. Just watch our YouTube channel, all our YouTube stuff. And by the way, if you've not subscribed to YouTube, that's where all the championship wrestling, all this stuff that we'll tape there, it will actually play on the YouTube channel. And the reason for that is because it's going to be taped in 4K. So it's you can't play that. You can't play 4K on Facebook. They won't let you. 720 is the highest they'll let you do, and we want it to be as brilliant looking as we can. So. Glenn Allen Shelton, Mike Porter, Nashville show had Lawler, Dreamer, and Bobby Eaton, and Larry Zbyszko. Another great guy. Another great guy, by the way. Tremendous guy. Wendy Harkins. I have my 17-year-old watching Continental shows, and he is loving it. Tremendous.
We've got to get his impressions of what he thinks and comparing the two. Of course, production's not anywhere close, but as far in ring. See what he thinks. I would love to.
We got his picks in.
Yeah. I'll put them back up for him. I went back up there just in case because I thought we did them.
Yeah,
there they are.
Yeah,
Jesse Ventura, Blackjack Plans, and
we talked about Jesse Ventura.
Yes.
Let's see. Let's hit that, and then we're going to have to go. But I saw Lawler Funk at a New Jersey independent show in the early 2000s. Sean Smith. Fizz Von Erich got the better end of the deal with Jarrett and Lawler. Wendy Harkins heard that Mustafa Ali from W has asked for his release. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. If you are a supporter, we're going to talk about that later on in our other videos. If you see news or rumors show up on YouTube, that's where we talk about it.
I'm going to start a big one tonight. I got a big one. I'm going to stir the pot real good.
There you go. So be prepared. I mean, other Jesse Wish wrestlers would read outside of wrestling that was really smart. There was a lot of guys that was smart. Bill Dundee, very smart man. Dutch Mantell, a smart person. Michael Hayes was a very brilliant person. A little crazy, but he was a brilliant new wrestling. Understood psychology of wrestling. He really and truly did. Ron Fuller was a very smart
Shane Douglas.
Who?
Shane Douglas was smart. He was very intelligent.
He knew what he was, and even when he was in Continental, a very smart man, understood the psychology even when he was there. And I think he went, but 22 at the time that he was there. So yeah, tremendous. My son said Continental was way better.
Wow.
And then Victor Nash.
And I think that's because of the approach. I think that the approach came from a more sports background, taking it serious, where everything now is kind of tongue-in-cheek, no matter what show you watch.
I think that's what's going to be good about what the show that we're going to do in Knoxville. It's all going to be, it's an old school wrestling show. If there's a such thing, I'm with Ricky Morton. Is there a such thing as old school and new school, or just the right way to do it? And that's what he said. And I think that's true. But if you like the wrestling from the 70s and 80s, you're going to enjoy what you see from Championship Wrestling coming to Knoxville. Impact Women's Champion Mickie James in the WWE Royal Rumble. Rodney, anything we need to talk about before we
Glenn Allen Shelton, happy birthday to Jim Duggan also. That was a tremendous show. Glad to be back. Glad you could see me this time. Hope that Jack's feeling better, and glad that Dr. Philbo is back with us as well. And we always, as always, we like to thank everybody for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure to have us.
And go to the YouTube. That's the best way to watch our videos on YouTube. It's the best way to subscribe to the channel to really help us, and we certainly do appreciate it. And if you're in the Knoxville, just go to livechampionshipwrestling.com, buy you a ticket, and you'll enjoy over two hours of old school wrestling action. Thank you so much. We'll see everyone next week right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. We hope Jack will be able to return because we're going to get his. We didn't get to get his last three top wrestlers, so we'll get those next week as well as talk about the others that we have. See you next week right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out.